Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party and let's play Shadwen. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk a bit about the game once we get started here.
What are you doing? Help! Guards!
Save your breath. No one is coming to help you. Now, what am I going to do with you?
Okay, so we're going to blow through this tutorial section because I've actually played the first 30 minutes to 45 minutes of this game just to kind of get a feel for it. So I will skip over the tutorial type stuff. So we're playing as the little girl to start with. We won't be playing as her for the majority of the game.
I'm getting sick and tired of guard duty. Kicking beggars out all day, standing about all night.
Look on the price. Died. Just a fortnight ago, you were out on the field fighting for your life.
I don't know. I wasn't this bored then.
Got a point. So this is a stealth game, and it gets around that that thing with stealth games, because if you're a stealth game player, as I do love, you know there's a lot of save scumming, basically, where you stop, like you save and reload. The way this game avoids that, and you'll notice everything is paused here, it's a very interesting way of getting around the save scumming. Again, saving, failing, getting caught, reloading, saving, reloading, etc. So time stops when you don't move. So nothing happens when I stop my moving, but if I start moving again, time starts again. However, if I just want to wait for this guard to pass, I can press Q and hold it, and then when I let go, time stops again. But for the time being, we're just going to sneak on past him. Furthermore, if I go, oh no, let's see if well, I'll show you in a second. But the NES games are pretty cool. It's by Frozenbyte. They also did the Trine games. They did not Shadowrun, damn it. I forget the name of it. But those are well-known good games. So I thought I'd give this a try, and I like stealth games. So I wanted to give this a try. You can hide in hay stacks and bushes and things like that. So we're going to wait. We're going to press Q, let this guard go by. And I do love my stealth games. And I was like, let's try to give this one a try. And like I said, after about an hour of playing, I was like, okay, this game is legit. So let's say I, bump into this guy. Oh, whoops, I screwed up. Pretty much you get instant killed. So what you do, hold R to rewind. And you just go back and redo it. That's pretty awesome. I gotta say, that's a really cool mechanic for a stealth game like this. Because, again, let's be honest. Even big, people who love stealth games, we tend to save scum a lot if you can do that. Metal Gear, you can't do that as much. But in games like Stealth, Dishonored, things like that, you can.
Can't imagine why. It's all in ruins.
Well, obviously not in the state it's in now. But before Lord Tyrannial burnt it down, it was home.
When you've been doing war as long as I have, you learn not to get too attached to anyone or anything.
But we're not at war anymore. The long hell is finally over.
It's only been 2 weeks. Who knows what tomorrow brings? King Gwydion is having trouble with his lieges, Joyce and Maddock, I hear. If they don't get the payment they desire, we'll be back on the fields of blood before the week is over.
Alright. I had to keep remembering that whenever I want to listen to a conversation, I have to press Q. So you can press objects, and this is going to be a fairly big part of the game. Pushing objects, pulling objects, creating distractions, and even killing guards with like falling boxes, things like that. So you got that guard over there. You want to get him to come look at this so we can sneak around the side. And you want to stay in crouch mode because they can hear you. Because I did some experimenting beforehand to see what I could get away with. So let's keep over here. Again, remember to press Q. That's something I'm going to like mentally get used to doing. But the other reason I like the whole time rewind thing is one of the big things with stealth games is figuring out what you can get away with. How good is the guard's peripheral vision? How far away can they see? How good can they hear? Can I, how close do I have to be while walking at a normal speed before they'll hear me? Things like that are very easy to experiment. Oh, guy turned around and spotted me, so I'll just rewind. We'll wait for him to bugger off here. Press Q. Now, some would probably complain about this and go, well, this is kind of dumbing down stealth games. I agree to an extent. It's much more lenient. It's much more forgiving than a typical stealth game would be. Since you can just rewind, you don't ever really lose progress. And as you can see there, you can also turn on easy if you want to change the, so you can actually see where the guards can see.
For us this winter, the locals can't be too pleased with us marching in and taking over.
Well, their lord is dead, their knights scattered. Rivendell has no choice.
And I just want to listen to the guard conversations just to kind of get some of the backstory. Alright, so this is basically where it's like, okay, use the stuff you've learned to get past. So we're going to make some noise with the bottles. Come on.
Heard the sound.
There you go. I'm going to move, uncrouch for a second to get a little speed. Because like I said, I had
After all.
experimented a little bit to kind of see what I can get away with sound-wise. And vision-wise, okay. Alright, he's going that way, so we'll go this way. But again, some people will say, oh, well, this is dumbing it down. There's no real consequences. I can't go that way. There's no real consequences. You don't really have to worry too much. And I would agree to that extent. It's not what I would say maybe a pure stealth experience of learning where the guards go, mapping it all out, etc., etc. That wasn't even on purpose, and it just kind of worked out. So we're going to go over here.
Nothing here.
I heard something.
Gonna pull him over here. Because one of the big things in stealth games like the original Thieves was, you know,
Nothing here.
learning the guard's pattern, just sitting there watching for minutes at a time, memorizing patterns, watching to see where they go, all of that. You don't really, you're probably not gonna have that. I mean, I've not got that far in this game, but you're probably not gonna have a ton of that in this game. Because you can just go out and try to make it. And if you don't, well, just rewind time. Now I know, oh, I need to wait a second instead of just being able to run out. In Thief, you know, you're going to get caught and you either have to run or you fight or whatever. There's no options to do that, right? You have technically less options because you can't really fight hand to hand. That's not necessarily true once we get to our main character, but but for the most part, if you don't sneak attack them, you auto lose. He's far enough away. They shouldn't hear me.
To be in order.
Let's push this out of the way. But yeah, this has been a pretty cool game so far. Once we get to controlling the main character, it really starts to open up a bit. Looks like he probably can't go that way. So I'm going to push this way.
I heard something.
Getting a little bit of stuttering. I don't know sure why that
Some
was.
peasant tried to steal bread from the king's kitchens.
It was nothing after all.
Stupid peasant. I said he tried. I showed him what happens to thieves.
Oh, good one.
How is that a good one?
Sun's on its way down. Not too long before the night watch starts. I hope there's something tasty for supper when we get to camp.
Not likely. Did I miss a shipment of fresh food today?
Alright, so let's see if we can't get both of these guys out.
Evil spirits.
I love it.
Spirits.
Nothing at all.
Alright, keep going.
It was nothing after all. Nothing at all.
There we go. Fairly easy. Though, to be fair, I failed quite a few times my first time through, just kind of learning how things go. That's one other reason I kind of like playing this, at least the tutorial stuff, early on. So, things like that, you have to wait for me trying to figure out the very basic mechanics, right? But let's go ahead and pick up these apples, because she's hungry. And that's the main reason she'd come in here in the first place.
Thief, what else have you taken out with it?
Oi!
Please, sir. It was just an apple. I'm hungry.
With sticky fingers like yours, I wouldn't be surprised to find more stolen goods under those petticoats.
What does the cleanliness of her hands have to do with... Ah, right. Meanwhile, Shadwen, our protagonist and namesake of this game, is off to kill the king. Well, that's a spoiler. Alright, so I will not make the mistake I made last time, and I will check these cottages. By the way, if you notice any kind of like hitching, because I've noticed a little bit of like jerkiness when I'm moving the camera around, that's not the game. When I was playing this earlier, it was like buttery smooth. I was easily staying over 100 FPS the entire time. So I'll have to check the recording once we're done to make sure it's not too bad. It's not even really bad now. It's just noticeable, I guess. I'll see if I can't figure out what that is. Hopefully you guys aren't seeing it. Let's go ahead and check for these chests. Now you'll find there is some limited crafting in the game that I found so far. You basically find schematics, and then you find these various parts that you put together to craft whatever the item is. We're going to ignore that message, by the way, because we don't have enough parts for it anyway. We don't have all the parts we need to make the grappling hook. Which, by the way, if she's coming to kill the king and she knows that she's going to need something to get across this area that we're about to come across, why on earth did she not think to bring that in the first place? Like, boy, I just hope there happens to be schematics up here. Did I already check this chest? I sure did. Good job. But you never know. Somebody could have put stuff back in it. Yeah. All right, let's go in here. Another buckle. Apparently, people love... Their buckles are very important to them. They're like caps from Fallout. That's their trade schematic. Did I look at this one? Thank God I didn't. Because I was feeling mighty dumb. Game looks pretty good. Like, it looks quite good. The one big thing visually that bugs me about this game is the animations. Right now, most of them look fine. But once we get a little deeper in, they look pretty wonky. When she, specifically when she starts using the grappling hook. What the? Is that a statue or an actual dog? It's neither. It's part of a wall. Very well done. It is so weird too when every time you stop, time stops. Which I know this is not the first game to do that. I think Super Hot works that way. I never actually played Super Hot. Looks good though. Despite their exclusivity agreement. By the way, if you're interested in this game, it's only $17 on Steam. And I checked how long to beat. There's not a lot of data on it, as you might suspect. Being maybe an indie game that, as far as I know, hasn't gotten much press. Really? Come on. Come on. There we go. Hasn't got a lot of press, so there's not a lot of data on howlongtobeat.com, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with How Long to Beat, you should definitely use that site. But it's saying about 6 to 8 hours. Let's go ahead and craft. This message is kind of in the way. There it goes. So we switch to our schematic, the grappling hook. We can see it needs that wire, the hook, and some valuable belt buckles. So let's drag that on there. Again, you can see the crafting process, very simplistic. All right. So remember, this is the part I actually kind of forgot about when I first started doing this. Remember, when you stop moving or touching the keyboard, time stops, even if you're in the air. So it's actually too far to grappling hook with. So I'm going to right click when we jump. Oh, and I'm going to right click it. Nice, and then we can swing. Now this is where the animations get a little wonk. Oh, do I have to go? No, I don't even have to go that way. We're going to go this way to save some time. You can hook that way. And if I screw up, oh damn, I fell in the water. Just rewind. Which again, pretty awesome. Again, some people might complain that, oh, that's dumbing it down. I would agree to some extent, I guess, that it is, because there's no real punishment for failure. There's a very, oops. There's no punishment for failure, so I can do really lazy things like that and not paying attention, too busy gabbing, and I miss my jump. Alright, this is another interesting aspect. You can shoot the rope and then use the mouse wheel to like pull yourself up, but you have to be close to it though, which is a little weird. They don't really explain that part. I wish you could watch yourself back. Come on. I like how she's like holding on with one hand. You know they make sheaths for weapons, right? It's really not safe for you to be running around with that knife out, especially when you're trying to climb mountains and shit. Let's go ahead and jump up here. I will say not necessarily right here, but this tutorial area with the grappling and stuff goes on a little bit long, little bit. Here, not so bad, but later on, it's kind of like, okay, I get the idea. I know how to grapple. Let's do this thing. Man, I really hope the game's not as, or the video's not as jerky. I mean, nobody would have noticed it until I said anything. It is pretty fun to do though. Like, especially when you kind of get the hang of it and can do it a little bit faster. Let's pull ourselves up. Start swinging. Let's pull ourselves up again. And that most of the game is not this. Like, that's why I was saying this kind of gets a little long in the tooth, because I feel like okay, we get the idea. We know this is important. Let's move on to something else. But overall, I've definitely enjoyed this game so far. And I was actually, when I finished recording, I kind of had to stop myself from playing because I was like, okay, I'm too far in. I'm liking this game, and I don't want to stop. So that's a good sign. So let's come up here. Oh, look! What do you know?
I'm hungry.
With sticky fingers like yours, I wouldn't be surprised to find more stolen goods under those petticoats.
I've done nothing.
Come here. I want to see what else you've stolen.
All right, so we come up to the girl that we saved. Now, here is an important aspect of the game. I can either kill him right in front of her, or I can distract him.
Someone!
No one can hear you scream.
And then I can go over there and like try to save her. And apparently there is something to do with the endings and how she's going to interact with you based on how you do it. So you can go through and not kill guards because there's no knockout. There's basically distract them and run by, or there's murder them. And if she finds bodies or watches you kill somebody, this affects her and apparently will affect how she reacts to you later on. Now, when I was testing, I actually did the distraction thing. However, I think this little girl needs to learn how this world really works. She needs to be broken in. She needs to understand this is a cruel dog-eat-dog world. So when we get the little plus sign here, that means we can left click and stabby stab. Lily has seen you brutally murder a guard. This affects the story of the game. If you wish to choose otherwise, you can rewind your actions. And then, so if I didn't really want to do that, I could be like, well, I could maybe pull this bucket down or something like that, maybe. But no. Watch it again. Nope, that's fine.
Do you live up in the castle?
No. I don't live anywhere, Mom. And my mother died this spring.
And you have seen me kill?
Yes, Mom.
I can't risk you running off and telling the guards of our little meeting.
You can trust me, Mom.
You're cold and hungry, and you'd sell me for an apple to those guards.
Stab her!
But I went ahead and saved you anyway.
Are you going to kill me too?
No, I'd rather not kill children.
Notice I said rather
Unless I
not.
have to.
Then, what are you going to do with me?
Do you know how to stay very quiet?
Yes.
If I bring you along, will you do exactly what I tell you to do?
Yes, I will.
That was definitely a very different dialogue. When you choose the other method of distracting the guard, it's definitely very different, where she begs to come with you and you're like, no, you're just getting in the way, blah, blah, blah. So I'll be interested to see how this murder method works. There's also this kind of, let's be honest, a little bit of a forced element here, where you've got the two levers to open a gate. We've seen that in other games, which require multiple players. It's like, oh, this door just happens to require 2 button presses that occur at the same time. So I feel like that's a little bit forced, like forcing you to kind of feel like, oh, it's good she's here because she's needed. I think that's not necessary. I don't think we don't really need that. And I don't know how much that's going to play into the full game, but I know a couple times already I've run into cases where you can't get in unless she's there, which that's another thing that let me address immediately, because I know what you're thinking, because I thought it immediately too. It's like, oh my god, the entire game is a giant escort quest where you got to keep her alive, etc., etc. And that always sucks. And we're not going to go in just yet. I kind of want to wrap up. Probably going to stop the video here to get our intro video done. But don't worry about that aspect. So far, it has been almost completely transparent to me. She does a good job of staying in a hiding place and only coming out when it's safe. I've only played like maybe 20-ish minutes past this, but I've never had a problem where she just ran out and, oh, I got busted and now I have to rewind. That has not been an issue yet. You can also force her to go to certain locations as well. She doesn't seem to stay there very long, but again, it's been a 100% non-issue, so don't let that scare you off just yet. Let's go ahead and go through. But yeah, so far I've actually quite liked this game. And I got a different achievement this time.
I may go with you, but I don't have to like you.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I'm sure you'd love more of the company of those brave guards.
They're bad, but you're evil.
Hey, I saved you.
How did you grow up with such exemplary morals?
My mother taught me all about good and bad.
And she's dead, so...
Aren't you a little too old to believe in fairy tales?
Okay, so we're gonna stop there. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys stick in with this series, because so far I've really enjoyed this game from what I have played, and I hope you guys will too. I'd like to see more stealth games like this. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave comments in the comment sections below. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you next time.